Hey, this is Politics with Laura, and OMG, I got a good one for you today. There's a lot going on in the world, and just when you think, sorry about that, just when you think everything is done, nah, it ramps up. We're going to be talking about Russian grain sanctions. Now, the U.S. starts to ease up on the sanctions because it's affecting the entire world. Have you ever had noodles, spaghetti noodles, made from barley? It doesn't taste good. Then you have the Iran and U.S. avoidance conflict, which it's going to happen at some point. We're going to get to that. And Greg Abbott takes charge. Oh, he told the federal government, look, you're not doing your job to protect the republic. So I'm going to protect my state. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. So it is on. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, man. Oh. Whatever you do, don't ever give your number to a nonprofit because they sell your info. They sell your number. They sell it. When you ask them, I'm sorry, this is a little off topic. If you give your number, if you have elderly parents and you give your number to the Department of Aging, it's a nonprofit organization. They sell your number. You can ask them. They'll say, no, we don't sell numbers. They don't know. They don't know. But when you're a nonprofit, you got to make that money up somehow to pay the people. And how they get paid is by selling your info. Okay. I'm done with my rant. I have had 10 calls in the past 30 minutes, and hopefully I can get through this live stream without more calls. I apologize. Let's get down to it. Okay. Biden has bitten off more than he could chew. He has done a whole lot to put this country in a very bad position, extremely bad. Now, some may disagree. Some may have no problems with the borders coming in. Some people may not have any problems with the Biden administration overthrowing the ukulele country's government. Some people may not have any problems with that. Nah. Some people may not have any problems with the U.S. engaging in, let's say, the proxy skirmish over there in the Middle East. However, let's first talk about the grain situation. Now, I thought this was quite interesting. Let me share my screen because you can't make this up. This right here is Interfax, and the Union of Grain Exporters head Edward Zernin, impossible to create a true price indication without developing exchange trade. Now, this guy right here, he's the head of it. And it's very interesting. He's saying, okay, come on, come down. Now, he's saying that the current agricultural year of July 2022 to June 2023 has turned into a special one of Russia's grain exporters, and not just due to the record harvest in 2022, which boosts the export potential. The situation has complicated by geopolitical events, and as a result, a strong demand for Russian grain into the world's market has had various infrastructure related restrictions to contend with, although agriculture products or produce is not officially sanctioned. Okay, so if it's not officially sanctioned, but it's unofficially sanctioned, but it has official consequences around the world, even though unofficial stuff going on there. I find that quite interesting. Also, Edward says ahead of the second Russian Waters Grand Forum, Grain Forum, Edward Zurin, the chairman of the management board of the Union of Grain Exports, told Interfax in an interview about how the difficulties have been overcome, how much grain might eventually be exported this year, and whether the markets will undergo any changes due to the departure of the world's leading grain traders. Now we all have to, okay. Now all of us around the world, have been affected by this. The prices are going up because Biden is like, okay, this is what you're going to do. He comes in with some sort of authoritarian, okay, that's a little bit too strong. Not authoritarian, but he's making it very difficult. And that's one thing. Okay, if you feel, if Biden and whomever his handlers are feel that this situation, let me back it up for a second. Okay, as I stated earlier, we all have gone to the supermarket, are faced with higher prices for grain, and then having grain, particularly barley, that we're using to cook with. Now, I have never had, and I don't know about you, but other countries use different grains for their foods. Fine. I have no problem with that. Go for what you know. But when a leader, the United States, sanctions unofficially the grain of a country that we get our grain from, and all the other countries that rely on that grain to make their food can't get it, but then now you have to go to get your grain from another country that does not use the same type of grain that you are accustomed to, but something completely different that takes your taste buds and kicks them across the street. That becomes a little bit too much. But I know Biden gets his grain. Biden has no problem making spaghetti and using the grain that he normally uses, while the masses gets barley, but he gets the wheat grain that he has always been accustomed to. Now, my thought is this, Biden, if we get barley, you get barley. Just that simple. But I digress. Let me go back to what I was finished showing you this. You can't make this up. You can't make it up. So here's an interesting thing, and please stick with me. Okay, a year ago, at the first Russian Waters Grain Forum, mention was made, of a so-called stealth sanction against Russian waters exporters. Exports are not officially restricted, but the freezing of the credit limits for buyers of Russian water grains, refusal to provide trade, finance, and risk hedging instruments, as well as ships, and problems with cargoes, insurance, and the like have seriously limited opportunities for the grain leaders. What is the union grain forecast for exporters of grain, including the wheat, in the current agricultural year have estimated an extended, estimated the extent of the export shortfalls, and at this could mean for the market. It means disaster. I don't need to go any further. It means disaster. It does. But Zurin answers, we prefer not to make the forecast, but to go on by facts. Current export volumes are breaking records, and consensus forecast by our forum participates 58 million tons. Now, Mr. Zurin, that hasn't reached my area. I'm getting barley. I'm getting barley grain. I'm not getting wheat. I'm getting barley. Okay. But based on the calculation of the current season, export potentials of 60 million tons will fall about 2 million tons short. Okay, the short is where I'm at. This is a quite large but non-critical volume in terms of pressure on domestic markets, which is already unprecedentedly high this season due to the record harvest. Okay. Now, this is where Biden comes into play. The U.S., wait a minute, let me see, are there any questions? Okay, no questions. All right. Okay, the U.S. Department of Agriculture forecasts Russian waters wheat export in a new agricultural year for 54.5 million tons. That is, Russian waters will remain in the world wheat market leader. Okay. Why am I getting barley then? There's something amiss here. Like I said earlier, there's different types of grain. There's wheat, barley, buckwheat, all the rest of the grains, alfalfa. But if you're used to a particular grain, such as wheat, for your noodles, for your bread, and then you're getting barley. Okay, I'm not going to complain about that. But however, there is a huge problem here, because even though that Biden has officially sanctioned Russian waters, has officially sanctioned them, but unofficially sanctioned, as they stated, not officially sanctioned, but unofficially has put us in this crazy shortfall. But however, they have record numbers of grain. It's just not coming to my area. As I state again, I reiterate that. Forgive me for reiterating it, but okay, some of us are a little upset with the world politics and how it affects the individual, average, everyday person. Now, Many of us aren't happy about that, but hopefully it would resolve itself. Now, oh, goodness gracious, goodness gracious, goodness gracious. Okay, here we go. Now, the United States and the Iran country right now are going through a proxy skirmish to where they're trying to avoid each other while not avoiding each other, you know. Now, I thought this was rather interesting, extremely interesting. Okay, nope, I meant to take that down. That I thought it was quite interesting. Here. Now, the New York Times, is reporting this, and this is out today. Okay, we got it fresh off the press. Now here, they're right off stating exactly what many of us here in the States are concerned about, and that is an outbreak of fight in the Middle East over there, which would draw the United States because the real country is in a battle for its life. Now, I'm going to go back over something that I had mentioned a couple of videos ago, and that was Trump. Trump maintained calmness and maintained more of a working relationship with the real country and the surrounding countries that were there. Now, it was called the Abraham Accord Agreement. And it was working. It was working. Now, there are still some issues. I'm not saying that right there is not a problem, okay? But however, it was becoming more manageable, I believe, for both sides. And I believe that there could, and this is simply my individual belief, okay? From what's out there and what I believe, that there could have been some type of way or arrangement for the real country to be able to have a working relationship with the pals over there. There could have been something worked out. However, that is not what's happening. As soon as Biden gets in, what does he do? He tears it up because it was Trump's baby. As soon as he tears it up, all craziness breaks loose automatically. Now, let's go back to this. Now here, the Iran into direct combat, and a curious feature of the conflict so far is the care taken on both Tehran and Washington to avoid putting their forces into direct contact, which will be really, really bad, especially that we have North Korea testing their hypersonic warheads. I mean, it's getting there. No one knows how long that will last, American and European diplomats and other officials say, but 100 days into the conflict, the assessment of most of the key players is the Iran has pushed its proxies to make trouble for the U.S. military and pressure Israel in the West Banks, in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and the shipping lanes of the Red Sea, while going into some length to avoid provoking larger eruptions. This all could have been completely avoided. This is my personal belief. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. The drum beats of war or looming in the air. Looming in the air. But let's continue on. But here, it's very concerning. Although Iran has ramped up its production of uranium drastically in recent weeks, renewing fears that it may be speeding again towards the capability of fabricating several nuclear weapons. It has carefully kept just below the threshold of the bomb grade fuel that is considered the red line that could trigger military actions against the dangerous or the underground nuclear complex. So, and here, when the Iril struck suburbs in Beirut in January 2nd, that eliminated two Haman's leaders, it mounted in a precise attack exactly the opposite of its campaign in the Gaza to avoid harm to nearby Hezbollah fighters that allowed Iril officials to make it clear that Hezbollah, the group funded, and it's only going to get worse, in my opinion. But again, Biden tore up the agreement because you had Morocco, Sudan, United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain, the three kingdoms. There's another kingdom I can't quite remember that kept the peace in that area right there. And the Iril country was beginning to do business because the United States, and whether if you like it or not, and it's true, the United States sends trillions of dollars every year for the country simply to be able to survive, giving it money and giving it arms. And it's quite expensive because the US gives money to several different 140 countries to promote democracy, but most of the countries do not support democracy, but we keep on giving it. But we get a lot of influx of, I'm going to get into that, influx of illegal aliens coming through. 15 million. So we might want to, Biden might want to rethink it and might want to just stop giving countries money that their people are running here to the United States. It's to the point, oh my God. It's very problematic. Oh, very problematic. So here, I found this quite, and I'm going to tread very lightly how I can talk about this very lightly. Because it's affecting us heavily here.
Including its capital and largest city, Sana'a, and pulled the country into a civil war that persists to this day, often involving other regional powers.
I don't need any copyright strikes. Okay, now here, let me see if there's a map. Okay, there is no map, or there's not a map, but All right. Okay, Jerusalem, the Houthi rebels fired a missile striking a U.S. owned ship. Now, well, let me go on for a little bit. Monday, just off the coast of Yemen in the Gulf of Aden, less than a day after the launch of the anti-ship cruise missile, which there are a lot of the anti-cruise missiles that are in Venezuela. Biden, you're not doing your job, okay? If you want to, towards the American destroyer in the Red Sea, officials say. Now, this came out today. We're getting this information today. Okay, the attack of the Gibraltar Eagle through not immediately claimed by the Houthis further escalates the tension gripping the Red Sea after the American-led strike on the rebels. The Houthis attack have roiled global shipping, like we don't have enough problems going on with the grain in Russian waters. So there's a lot going on there, a whole lot. And it's all, even though that some of it may be not connected, but it is connected indirectly. Of Ivoriel's war with the Hamas in the Gaza Strip, targeting the crucial corridor linking Asia, the Middle East energy cargo shipment, and the Suez Canal towards onwards to Europe, which the Suez Canal is extremely important, but it's going to be very difficult. But I'm kind of surprised that they didn't mention the Panama Canal. But here, the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operation, which oversees the Middle East waters, said Monday the attack happened some 110 miles or 177 miles south east of Aden. And it said the ship's captain reported that the port side of the vessel hit by the above missile. Now, what's interesting, what they're not saying is that these cruise missiles are China missiles. I'm so heavily sanctioned on this channel. The private security arms firms, the private security firms, Aubrey and a Dryad Global told the Associate. This is so why you have these private, okay. Associated Press that the vessels was the Eagle Gibraltar and the Marshall Island flagged bulk carrier. Oh, the Marshall Islands, that right there is a, I'm going to shut up. The U.S. Military Central Command later acknowledged the strike, blaming the Houthis, the Houthis, for the assault. So it's only going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth because Yemen did something that the U.S. did not like at all. And Yemen is being sanctioned, seriously sanctioned, for telling the U.S. do not allow that to happen. And now my internet is being messed with. Okay. All right, let me check and see it. Man. So to be messed with, but you know, that is what is going, that is what's happening, and it seems like that. Let me go into this. Oh crap, how can I get out? Sorry about that. I'm trying to make sure that my internet is okay. Finally. Okay, now it's back. Okay. So Yemen said, look, this has to stop. This must stop. And they stood up and said, no, United States, I'm going to tell you no. And now Yemen's being heavily sanctioned for coming out and saying no, don't do that. Now, within that, and as they go through, now you have people within what organizations, and I'm not going to call anyone a terrorist. I'm simply not going to do that. I'm not going to jump into that label. No. I'm not going to do that. And now you're messing with my internet again. But I will say that they feel the need that they need to protect themselves, which every sovereign country has a right to do to protect themselves. The United States at one time thought communism was a domino effect. If one country turns communism, then you have a bunch of other. Yeah, I know I'm deviating, but I just want to bring this point home so so I can stop having my internet being messed with. So the domino effect. Now, it can be one could easily assume that Yemen is saying the same thing. Well, if I allow this to happen, it's going to be a domino effect. So let me put a stop sign here and say stop. Still messing with it? Okay. All right. So I'm going to come back to this point sometime later in another live stream. But Governor Greg Abbott has done something that's making Americans look. He has done something that Joe Biden, the president of the United States, has not done. And that is protect the borders. Now, it's safe to say that we have a bunch of people coming here illegally that are Democratic voters like that. They have they have unofficial legal status, unofficial, to where they get in all from the taxpayers of the United States of America that are supporting people that are coming here illegally and that want the North American dream, but they don't want to pay for the North American dream. They don't want to properly contribute to the North American dream as people that come here legally do. When people come here legally, they start off with not asking the United States government for money. No, they come with their own money. But illegals come here saying, give me money, give me education, give me. They didn't bring anything to this country from Jump Street. Now people are saying to me, Politics with Laura, you sound like a Trumpster. You are a reverse racist. Really? You are not humane. I'm not? Oh, okay. So then do we let everybody in? Do we just say, hey, everybody come here. We'll take care of you. We'll work like dogs and cats and goldfish and parrots to give you the freedoms that we do not have because you're here and we have no say so. Is that what should happen? People coming here unvetted? President Biden. Now, I found this one interesting. I found this one very, very interesting. Just listen to this right here. I thought, wow. Okay.
Dressed in jeans,
All right.
shorts, and tube socks, this new arrival.
Wait a minute. I don't think you can hear it. Hold on. Let me change the.
Dressed in jean shorts and tube socks, this new arrival is shivering as he and others are getting a good taste of a Chicago winter. There are about 280 migrants at the city's landing zone, packed into warming buses, waiting for shelter as the cold rain pours down.
Of course, it's not ideal. I don't think they were meant to be a permanent solution. The city, I know, is struggling to find available beds. And
Andre Gordillo's organization, New Life Centers, is assisting the city in welcoming the new arrivals. They are all given a...
Now, this new rival nonprofit organization, right? I have to ask one question. Nonprofits are making hand over fist in money. You're getting these government contracts, and you're making hand over fist in these people's misery. And you're making hand over fist in our taxpayers in our misery. So you got two groups of people who are miserable, but you got one group who's winning, and that's the nonprofit organizations that are winning. They are winning. I mean, the government's oversight on this stuff is non-existent. Okay, now you're going to hear something quite interesting. Well, not quite interesting. You're going to hear something that many people say. Many people say this. I'm going to deviate for a second and then come back. And then when you hear it, okay. What I found quite interesting is over in the UK, you had people coming there, refugees that their countries were horrible. People are dying left and right, and they need help. They come there, they get refugee status. Now, when Christmas came, what did they want to do? They wanted to leave to go spend Christmas with their families, but said that they were refugees and their life were in danger. I mean, just a total BS, just outrageous, just outrageous. But these countries are giving out a whole bunch of tangibles that taxpayers pay for. All right, let me not go down that road. Okay.
coat, warm clothing, and a blanket, but nothing more.
For now, as they wait for beds to open up, we can't be providing 3 jackets and 4 blankets because storage becomes an issue.
And there is no spare room on the buses. Jose Angel Farias has been living on one for 3 days. He's worried about the health of his 2-year-old daughter. Farias says there are some people on the buses with fevers. He says,
all right. And there, okay. Some people are going to say, well, why would you come to a country and not be properly prepared for it? So we got to not only give you room and board, now through taxpayers are paying for it. That, you know, they have been on the bus for 3 days. They have no proper clothing, which now organizations are giving them coats and blankets, which they did never provide for themselves. They came here with a backpack and nothing else. And now he's saying that he's concerned about his 2-year-old daughter. All right. My heart goes out to him. Oh, man, now my internet is messing up again. My heart goes out to him. It really does. My heart goes out to him because first, I'm a mother. And I would do what I can to protect my children. Now they're adults, and which I have. But one thing I have never done and many people here in the United States of America has never taken whatever they could, put on their back. They have never gone to Mexico, never have gone to El Salvador, Nicaragua, any country in Africa, any country in China or wherever, put a backpack on and leave and say, hey, could you please take care of me? I don't have proper attire. I don't have any of those things. Put me on a warm bus. But I digress. Let me finish watching. Let's finish looking at it. You can't make this stuff up. You truly can't.
As we do not have the means for a medical emergency. The buses are super crowded. There is not room for one more person. Faria says sleeping at night on the bus is almost impossible. Families, specifically single women and children, are the first to be placed in a shelter. Single men are the last. Some have been living at the landing zone for several days. 21-year-old Andres Cusayo says, although the bus is uncomfortable, at least it gives you a little warmth. The landing zone may get some relief by week's end. The long-awaited state shelter at a former Little Village CVS is scheduled to open soon. And a new shelter comes just in time for migrants to experience a Chicago winter in January. Single digits are expected early next week.
Watch breaking news on.
Okay. So, what do we, as a nation of citizens, as a nation of legal citizens, do about this situation? We have a president that is not adhering to the Constitution. We have a president that is, and not only a president, but also governors, mayors, that are not upholding the Constitution. They're not even upholding the state constitution at all. And heck, they're not even upholding the city, the county. I mean, they have taken the laws and bent them back to the point to where they say, hey, we got all this money. Matter of fact, okay. What I find interesting is that the United States has money. I'm going to deviate a little bit, just a little bit, to show the hypocrisy of Joe Biden, to show the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. Now, you have money for the ukulele country. You have trillions of dollars for the iReal country. You have billions of dollars to bring in 15 million people to the U.S. illegally and to place them all around the United States. And to the point to where in Chicago, you had a gentleman who told the Chicagoans, saying straight out in his arrogance and broken English, said, no more money for you. Oh, yes, that video is going viral. They know. They come here and know that they are taking resources from the taxpayers and don't care because the government is sanctioning it and allowing them to do it. They are completely okay with it to bring their children up here through a dangerous trek and say, hey, you know, you're not helping my child. No. You're not helping your child. You put your children, you put your child, your 2-year-old child, through a thousands of miles trek to the border. Come up here and then you go through Texas, and Texas is like, no. Go to Chicago. Go to Philadelphia. Go to DC. Go to San Francisco. LA. I'm not even going to talk about LA yet. That's going to be another video. and then says no more money for you Americans. You work for illegal aliens, illegal immigrants. And now the people that were here illegally for years and never bothered to get any type of status, legal status, been here for 10, 15, 20 years working illegally, hiding in the shadows. I don't know how anyone could even think about doing that, hiding in the shadows. I mean, you are putting yourself in dangers to crimes that you can't report. You are. I just think about the young girls who are violated in ways that are horrible in their families, put them in this position to where they can't even take course of action to protect them. And they look at being in the United States as better than their own country, which they do zero to make their country work for them because they're scared. But then they come up here and still are scared. You know, it's just a catch-22 that falls on our pocket no matter how it goes. Whether if the United States is sending money to these countries, whereas the people come up here and still get. I'm not insensitive to their plight. No, I'm not. But it comes to a point in time to where you stop being afraid and you stand up and you make your country work for you. But you don't stand up and make another country work for you when you never even asked your country to work for you. Zero. And then you take the money from the country you want to work for you, and then you take the money and you send it out, which is basically, in a nutshell, stealing from the people that have graciously helped you. Those dollars that you send outside of the country are out of circulation. They're not here anymore. Our tax dollars are going someplace else, so it's out of circulation to where we have to pay for more money that you're sending out. Okay. I'm at a loss for words, which very seldomly happens. But we're at a point. The United States, the world is at a point to where suffering on a scale of beyond imaginable is getting ready to hit us. The entire world. Some places are feeling it right now. When it hits the United States, it's going to be magnified because the United States, European countries have first world problems. We really don't have to really worry too much about where we're going to get our next meal. We don't have to worry too much about us finding a place to live because we have places to where we can go to shelters. But however, we're at a point to where that's not true anymore. We're not going to have places to go. We're not going to have shelters because we have massive amounts of people who are coming in and taking the shelters, schools. The schools are not open for students to go in and learn, but the schools are opening up for people that are here illegally. And it's a complete disaster. So when this fully takes hold in the United States, it's going to be beyond dangerous. What do we do? I was a lifelong Democrat, and I'm seeing what the Democratic Party is doing. I'm an independent now. I just don't know if I could ever trust. Well, politicians, you really can't trust too much to begin with, but could I really look at another Democratic politician and really look at that person and saying, you're not going to give this country away. You're not going to be here for me because I voted for you. You're going to take my money and give it to other people because you want. You can miss me with that. You can totally miss me with that. And my mayor, you can really miss me with that because you voted, the city council member, except for one, voted to allow illegal aliens to vote in the local elections. No other country has done that. You cannot go to Peru and go vote in their local elections and do not have a legal status, not even a citizen. The United States is a laughing stock of the world. The United States is most definitely right now a crap hole country. Look at us. Look at France. Look at England. I mean, it's terrible. But outside of that rant, out of frustration, what do you think? You think I'm off base? Do you think that I'm not being fair? And if you think I'm not fair, tell me how. Please elaborate. Don't say baloney. Don't say you're wrong. Tell me, how am I wrong? And if so, inbox me and say you want to come up and you want to have a discussion with me on live stream. I'll do it. I would love to have a discussion. On that note, I would say thank you for stopping by. Please like, subscribe. Please subscribe. Please like the video. If you don't like the video, subscribe, dislike the video, and tell me why you don't like it. And tell me why you think I'm wrong. But subscribe, dislike, and comment. On that note, oh, and please support me. YouTube has taken away a lot of my watch hours to keep me from being able to monetize my channel. They took over 1,200 watch hours away from me. I'm sorry, 1,300 watch hours away from me. Please support me. Cash at me at Politics with Laura. Matter of fact, here. Please cash at me at Politics with Laura. PayPal at Politics with Laura. And if so, Venmo me at Politics with Laura. Please do so. On that note, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for stopping by. Bye.